In this video we're going to have a look at rounding numbers to a certain number of decimal places. In example 1 it says round 7.665 to one decimal place. So because we're going to one decimal place, that means we just want to have one number after a decimal point. So you can see on the right hand side here, I've just written out a number line with all the decimals to one decimal place around this number, 7.665. Okay, so 7.665, hopefully you'll be able to identify where that number is close to. Okay, so if I were to place that onto the number line, 7.665, well hopefully you can see it's going to be somewhere here. It's going to be somewhere in between 7.6 and 7.7, so we need to determine where it's going to go. So because it's 7.66, I can tell it's going to be beyond halfway, because halfway would be 7.65. and I've got 7.665. Okay, so therefore I can say, okay, my number is going to be placed somewhere here, for example. And we can see that this is closer, therefore, to 7.7. Okay, so the number line confirms that it's closer to 7.7. Let's have a look at a quicker way to have a look at it. Okay, so we want to round this to one decimal place. So it's 7.665. And we are going to one decimal place. Okay, and because we're going to one decimal place, what this essentially means is this number here, the first number after the decimal point, will stay the same or go up by one, and it depends on the number to the right of it. If the number to the right of it is 5 or more, the number that we've highlighted goes up by 1. If the number to the right of it is less than 5, the number stays the same. So we can see that the number that I've underlined is bigger than 5, therefore when I round this to one decimal place, my answer is 7.7, which we've confirmed up there. Okay, let's have a look at example 2. Round 11.24 to one decimal place. So I've got 11.24, and we want to work out, that's not a very good arrow, what is that going to be to one decimal place? That means I'm going to only have one number after my decimal point. Okay, so this is the number. This is because it's to one decimal place, I highlight my first number. Okay, so this number will stay the same or go up by 1, and it depends on this number here. Okay, so this number will stay the same or go up by 1. The number here is less than 5, therefore my number that I've highlighted stays the same. 11.24 is closer to 11.2 than it is to 11.3. I'll show you. So it's 11.24. So hopefully you'll appreciate it's going to be in this range here. In the middle, we could maybe say, okay, this one, we could maybe say in here, this is going to be 11.25, because it's halfway in between 11.2 and 11.3, 11.25. Okay, so if I were to place 11.24 onto that number line, it's just going to be on this side here. Because it's on this side, we can see that it is closer to 11.2. Okay, example 3. 7.98 to one decimal place. Okay, I've chose this one deliberately because something interesting might happen here. 7.98 to one decimal place. So once again, I'll do a wee dodgy arrow. Okay, so we're going to one decimal place. That means the first number after my decimal point will either stay the same or go up by 1. And it will stay the same or go up by 1 depending on this number here. This number is bigger than 5. Therefore, this number has to go up by 1. And so what a lot of people write is they say, okay, that 9 goes up to 10. So they say my answer is 7.10. This is wrong. Okay, this is not correct. And I'd like to go to a number line here to show you why. Okay, so we had 7.98. Okay, so 7.98 is going to be in this range here, in between 7.9 and 8. And let's just say in the middle we would have 7.95. So 7.98 we could place somewhere roughly here. So we should see that it's actually closer to 8. It's closer to 8.0 than it is to 7.9. But if we think about it, some people, the mistake that people write is they say that this 9 gets rounded up to a 10. But if we think about this in a number line like 7.10 or 7.1, maybe like somewhere all the way back here on a number line, and it doesn't make sense that this is closer to this here. Okay, so I wanted to point this out. Okay, so in this scenario, it does not equal 7.10. So I'm just going to rub this out, and we'll talk through it again. Okay, so 7.98. So this number will stay the same or go up by 1, depending on this number here. That number is more than 5, therefore this number we need to increase, but a 9 we cannot turn into a 10. Okay, so if ever we need to round up a 9, we need to go to the number to the left of it and add 1 to that place value. Okay, so therefore that would round to 8.0. Two last examples with this a wee bit quicker. We want to round this to 2 decimal places, 18.837. Okay, so because we're rounding to 2 decimal places this time, that means I want to have 2 numbers at my decimal point. Because it's to 2 decimal places, I'm going to go to the second number after the decimal point, which is this 3 here. So here I'm rounding to hundredths. Okay, so we look to the right hand side. So this 3 will stay a 3 or go up by 1, and it depends on this number here. That number is bigger than 5, so that 3 will become a 4. So it's going to be 18.84. Once again, we could see that on our number line. So what is it? 18.837. So 18.837 is going to be somewhere in this range here. 837 is going to have to be closer to 18.84 than 18.83, because here is 18.835 and I've got 18.837. Okay, two last examples, we'll just do this quite quickly. So we want to round this to the number given in the bracket. Okay, so for this one we've got 15.62718 and we're doing it to 3 decimal places because it says 3 in the bracket there. Okay, so I'm going to go to the third number after my decimal point, which is the 7 here. So this will stay a 7 or become an 8 depending on this number here. That number is less than 5, therefore it will stay a 7. So my answer is 15.627. Lastly, we want to round 201.153492 to 4 decimal places. Therefore, I need to go to the fourth number after my decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will stay a 4 or become a 5, and it depends on this number here. I can see that this number here is 5 or more. Therefore, the number 4 is going to get rounded up by 1. So it's going to become 201.1535. That has been rounded to 4 decimal places. There are 4 numbers after my decimal point. Okay, if we just generally apply the rule, if it's 5 or more, if the number to the right of what you're looking for is 5 or more, we would round up. If it's 4 or less, that will stay the same. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much.